There's the two sides who think she is only popular and does have the notoriety and recognition that she does because she is white. There is the other side that says you guys are crazy, you're all jealous of her, and she is just talented.
Nobody saw it coming. Especially not Caitlyn Clark. Just days after Law & Order, SVU aired an episode that took a shocking jab at the WNBA's brightest star, turning her talent into a controversial punchline about race. The reaction online was instant and furious. The backlash, loud, fierce, and impossible to ignore.
Here's what Caitlyn Clark could do. Y'all come at me like this, I'm not doing any interviews with you. Y'all keep coming at it with these dumbasses, Monica McNutt. I'm done with you. I'm not doing interviews with you. We'll go play in the Unrivaled League, and let's see which league gets going. And then let's see where the hell we're at. Your dumbasses at ESPN want to get up there and be racist as hell towards me. I don't participate in racism. Next time I hear that bullshit, we ain't playing in a game that you're telling.
And now the show has been forced to apologize, and because the internet wasn't staying quiet. Fans flooded NBC with outrage, while celebs, athletes, and sports analysts called out Law & Order for crossing a line that never should have been crossed.
So there is an episode of Law & Order that was just aired on April 10th, and it's called Bubble Wrap. It is season 24, episode 18. I think that a lot of people, myself included, are very tired of this narrative when there's so much proof of the reason Caitlyn Clark being popular, and it is because what she does on the court.
This wasn't just another made-up storyline. It felt like a straight-up ambush, and while the apology was late, it confirmed what fans already knew. They crossed the line, but this goes deeper than one episode. It's about respect, race, and the media constantly trying to twist Caitlyn Clark's narrative. Not today, not while we're here. The episode aired like a normal Law & Order SVU, but the message it sent hit completely different.
When's the last time you heard about Law & Order? That Law & Order scene cannot be written without Caitlyn Clark. That mention cannot happen without Caitlyn Clark, because you couldn't say it for Elena Delle Donne or Brianna Stewart or Sabrina Ionescu or Sue Bird or Paige Becker.
But this episode came with a twist, one that took the usual courtroom drama and turned it into real-life backlash. Out of nowhere, during a scene that had nothing to do with basketball, the dialogue shifted to the WNBA and fired a not-so-subtle shot at Caitlyn Clark, a fictional character named Cameron Adler, who clearly meant to represent Clark, as was criticized as a white player who supposedly rose to stardom overnight, while the black athletes who laid the foundation of the league were pushed aside.
Caitlyn Clark mentioned on Law & Order.
You've been talking trash about her for a while, right? Saying that she was a joke, that you were going to kick her ass.
Come on, man. It was just talk.
Look, I get it. I mean, the league was built on the backs of talented black women like yourself. I mean, these white girls come along, right? Cameron Adler, Caitlyn Clark, and they're instant superstars. Everybody's saying they put the league on the map.
And they're getting all the endorsements and sponsorships. Yeah, it's messed up.
You got to admit there's something special about her game, though, right?
Yeah, she's white. But I hear you. Cam could play. I had a lot of respect for her.
Really? Just didn't look that way.
It was a big game. We're both really competitive, and we got into it. But that was it. We even talked after the game for a bit, cleared the air.
Yeah, so she was good with that elbow you threw at her face?
Couldn't say she was good with it, but she joked that it was good for the game, that it would get us lots of media coverage.
Then came the line that lit the internet on fire. Yeah, she's white. That one sentence exploded across social media. It wasn't hidden in metaphor or dressed up with subtlety. It was loud, clear, and racially charged, aired during prime time for millions to hear. This wasn't just a fictional take. It felt like a planned, on-purpose shot at a real person, and not just any athlete. Caitlyn Clark, the most talked about name in women's basketball right now. Someone who's worked hard, stayed focused, and didn't deserve to be targeted like this.
You stand up to bullies. You don't acquiesce. Because when you acquiesce or apologize, it will never stop. You stand up to bullies. You tell them go F themselves.
The backlash was immediate. Social media blew up with people calling it out. Fans packed the comment sections, and even big names in sports and entertainment slammed NBC for dragging a real player into a fake drama. Even folks who don't follow basketball could see what was going on. This wasn't just a story, they were pushing a message, one that tried to downplay Caitlyn Clark's success, making it seem like she got to the top because of privilege instead of pure talent and hard work.
If it was because she was white, Sabrina Ionescu would have changed and brought the WNBA and turned it on its head, but she is not turning the W upside down on its head like Caitlyn Clark is.
Yeah, but here's what the writers didn't see coming. The world stood up for Caitlyn Clark. From NBA stars to college coaches to fans across the board, people backed her up with zero hesitation because let's be real, everyone saw what was really going on. This wasn't some deep talk about race. It was about tearing someone down for rising too quickly, shining too brightly, and making too much noise.
Here we go again. Why is Caitlyn Clark popular?
People aren't spending 3 hours of their time to watch Caitlyn Clark play basketball because they're racially motivated.
The outrage hit NBC's doorstep in no time. Petitions started popping up everywhere. Fans were threatening to stop watching. And just like that, the writer's room went quiet. What they thought would be a clever moment of commentary turned into a full-blown PR disaster. They clearly underestimated how massive Caitlyn Clark's influence really is, and how loyal her fan base would be when it came time to stand up for her.
Yeah, so she was good with that elbow you threw at her face?
I didn't say she was good with it, but she joked that it was good for the game, that it would get us lots of media coverage.
She may have a whole bunch of turnovers, but she does things in a way that you haven't seen. She does things that are exciting to watch.
By the end of the week, the pressure was impossible to ignore. NBC and the producers of Law & Order SVU finally broke their silence, dropping a rare, carefully worded apology. They didn't say Caitlyn Clark's name. But let's be real, everyone knew exactly who they meant. They admitted that the scene may have unintentionally mirrored real people, and apologized if it caused any offense or misunderstanding. But by then, the damage was already done.
Clark's popularity and the reality of the fans that are celebrating her is so different than what you see on social media. You never hear, "Go white girl!"
For many, the apology felt like a small win. It was the media finally acknowledging they'd crossed a line, that hiding behind fiction couldn't justify character attacks. Caitlyn Clark didn't ask to be dragged into their agenda, and she certainly didn't deserve to be the punching bag for a larger cultural debate.
It all comes back to Caitlyn Clark's popularity. I believe it is based on basketball more than anything else. Look at what went viral from the Letterman clip, her playing basketball.
What began as a humiliating moment quickly turned into a battle for accountability. The media was forced to answer, and for the first time in this whole ordeal, Law & Order backed down. Though the apology came, it wasn't from a place of true regret. It was the result of pressure. What NBC and the writers of Law & Order SVU clearly underestimated was just how powerful and loyal Caitlyn Clark's fan base has become.
There's just so much statistical data to prove why people are invested and interested and can't stop looking at Caitlyn Clark. Like, she has broken a record for records. As a rookie, she has done things nobody else has done. Stats do not require race as a prerequisite. They just are what they are.
What they thought was just a quick moment of social commentary ended up stirring up a massive storm. Instead of making a point, they woke up a fan base that spans across generations, cultures, and borders. Caitlyn Clark isn't just a basketball player, she's a movement. Trying to reduce her to a racial stereotype wasn't just tone deaf, it was a strategic insult. It played into a growing trend we've seen in the media. When they can't ignore her achievements, when they can't discredit her skills, they go after her identity. Law & Order fell right into that trap, but this time, the public response was louder and stronger than anyone anticipated.
She's different. She's a white girl from the middle of corn country.
They like Caitlyn Clark because she's not a victim, because she doesn't seem to be angry. And so they find her relatable.
Let's set the record straight. Caitlyn Clark has never spoken out to stir division. She doesn't bring up race or involve herself in culture wars. She simply plays basketball better than most. In fact, she's single-handedly boosted the WNBA's profile, driving ticket sales, boosting viewership, selling out arenas, and introducing millions to a league they once ignored. Her jersey is the top seller in the league. Her games dominate primetime ratings. And her name? It's now directly tied to the WNBA's massive growth.
Every single one of you WNBA players, you better pray that Caitlyn Clark doesn't get injured, because she's keeping your league afloat.
Juju Watkins goes down with a devastating injury that might keep her out next season. God forbid. If the same thing happens to Caitlyn Clark, the WNBA will not survive. You have one young woman carrying the entire league.
Despite everything Caitlyn Clark has accomplished, all of it was dismissed in a scripted one-liner that aimed to downplay her success. And that's the part fans and even fellow players found so difficult to accept. It wasn't just a misguided opinion, it was an outright erasure of everything she's done for the game. Even industry insiders were taken aback. Writers and journalists who cover the WNBA called out NBC for pushing such a divisive message. Some even admitted that if this had happened to any other player, especially a black woman, the backlash would have been immediate, global, and unforgiving.
Caitlyn Clark is relatable and popular, and people want to see her play because she's exciting as heck to watch and because she's not filled with anger. People are attracted to joy.
But because it was Caitlyn Clark, the silence from certain groups was deafening, and fans took notice. What Law & Order did wasn't just in bad taste, it was outright cowardly. They used Caitlyn's real name, her real achievements, and then hid behind a fictional character to say what they didn't have the courage to say directly. This kind of passive-aggressive storytelling isn't just poor writing, it's a clear agenda. It's easier to tear down a rising star than admit the uncomfortable truth. Caitlyn is outshining everyone, and they can't handle it. Yet through it all, Caitlyn said nothing.
Caitlyn Clark made the comments to Time magazine. Monica McNutt recently said on BBC, perhaps a big reason for Caitlyn Clark's popularity is she's white and from the Midwest.
The Monica McNutt stuff, and specifically with this level of media, we're talking about with ESPN, their issue with Caitlyn Clark. Caitlyn Clark represents Trump America, MAGA America. They see her and they say, this is someone that everybody who roots for probably voted for Donald Trump, and I hate Donald Trump, and I hate those red hats, and I hate everything that represents to me. Because to me, that represents racism.
No tweets, no interviews, no public complaints. Caitlyn didn't demand an apology, nor did she play the victim. She simply got back to work, lacing up her shoes, showing up, and proving that her greatness isn't defined by reactions, but by actions. That silence, it spoke louder than any words could. While the media tried to control the narrative, Caitlyn Clark let the court speak for her. And the scoreboard, it always tells the truth.
And Caitlyn Clark does have a further three-point range than even Steph Curry, and that is just kind of bonkers. Think about how popular Steph Curry is. Caitlyn Clark shoots farther away on average than he does.
NBC rushed to fix their mistake while fans demanded accountability. Through it all, Caitlyn Clark remained the one thing the media couldn't manipulate, unbothered and unstoppable. Even as Law & Order offered a vague apology, Caitlyn did what she's always done. Let her game do the talking. Since that episode aired, she's proven once again why she's a force to be reckoned with. Her performances have been nothing short of exceptional. She still leads all rookies in assists and three-pointers, draining shots from way beyond the arc and making it seem effortless.
And little girls said, hey, I can relate to Caitlyn Clark. She's like us. She has a boyfriend. There's a lot of parents that feel real comfortable taking their kids to a game.
She's played in some of the WNBA's most watched games, attracting millions of viewers, not because of drama, but because of her undeniable talent. And that's what frustrates her critics the most. She doesn't just dominate the game, she does it with elegance, composure, and steady performance. Every arena she steps into is sold out, and every city she plays in becomes a media spectacle. Her name trends effortlessly, with no need for extra attention. She's not just the face of the Indiana Fever, she's the face of the WNBA, whether everyone is ready to admit it or not.
Prevailing narrative that has been created around this season's WNBA play is that it's the league versus Caitlyn Clark, and that is just absolutely false. It is unfair to the women that have been there building this league to this moment so that Caitlyn Clark's popularity could take it to the next level.
There's a method to this madness. When given a chance to talk about Caitlyn Clark, they're always going to racialize it and try to demonize Caitlyn Clark's fan base.
Now let's talk about the impact Caitlyn Clark has had. Since she entered the league, attendance has skyrocketed by over 48%. Jersey sales have reached all-time highs, and broadcast ratings have not just doubled, they've even tripled for certain matchups. WNBA merchandise sales have surged by more than 300%. No other player, not even the league's veterans, has been able to generate these kinds of numbers. So when a network like NBC tries to claim her success is just about race, they're not only wrong, they're disrespecting every fan who has shown up, tuned in, and supported her because of what Caitlyn truly brings to the game.
former black players have decided, hey, we're going to hate on Caitlyn Clark constantly to elevate ourselves, but also trigger her fans so that they'll keep coming to games and rooting for her, and it's going to elevate the entire.
What Law & Order tried to accomplish with one line, Caitlyn Clark shattered with every three-pointer, assist, and sold-out crowd that followed. She showed once again that it's not about the narrative, it's about the talent. Her rise can't be boiled down to her skin color, a passing trend, or a political angle.
Number one revenue sport in America, what do you think it is? The NFL. How much you think they make? $17 billion. The NBA, a little over $11 billion. You guys are a $150 to $200 million company. You're operating at a loss every single year. You've never made money. It's called a zombie company. You're subsidized by the NBA.
It's the result of years of relentless effort, unparalleled vision, and a fierce drive the league hasn't seen in years. So while networks offer apologies and critics scramble, Caitlyn Clark just keeps doing what they can, making history quietly and effortlessly on her own terms.
Who's going to be the next face of the NBA? We don't get to decide that. The marketplace decides that. The people have chosen Caitlyn Clark. They enjoy watching her play, her style, her energy, her shot. Whether it's because her game mirrors one of the greatest players in the NBA in Steph Curry or not, I don't know what it is. It's an intangible thing, right? Yes, we can say she's a dog. Okay, there's been other dogs. Okay, she's a great shooter. There's been other great shooters. She has it. She's got the thing. I remember when the WNBA started. I was thrilled. I was a fan. I couldn't believe it was an opportunity for me, a 5'2", 97-pound girl, to go play professional basketball. That wasn't going to happen for me, but the idea that it existed was special to me. And now she's offering that to not just little girls, but little boys as well. She's spread the fan base. So
Law & Order may have apologized, but the harm is already done, and so is the silence. What they tried to disguise as fiction was nothing more than a cheap, racially charged jab at a woman who has done nothing but elevate the game with every move she makes. But here's what they didn't expect. Caitlyn Clark doesn't buckle under pressure. She rises above it.
She's not playing with anger. She's not playing with a sense of entitlement. And yes, people find that relatable.
She didn't clap back, demand the spotlight, or chase after headlines. She didn't have to. Her answer came in the form of packed arenas, record-breaking stats, and performances that made her critics irrelevant.
What happened is Caitlyn Clark in her sophomore year and really in her junior year just started excelling and doing things that nobody had ever seen a female basketball player do. Like nobody had consistently been shooting these from the logo passes.
She shoots logo threes, passes the ball like Magic Johnson, scores a lot of points, leads the league in assists. She's a great, great player, and she plays and shoots and releases the ball like Steph Curry. So there's the attraction to the exciting style of play.
While the media plays games, Caitlyn Clark focuses on basketball, and that's why she's a winner both on and off the court. Let them apologize, let them scramble to save face. Caitlyn doesn't need their approval because the world is already watching, and they've picked their favorite.
Monica has figured out a way to make the WNBA relevant and profitable long term. The lady from the BBC, she seems to be asking Monica McDougal how the WNBA can maintain their momentum from last season. There's an easy answer to that question. More than likely, they can't.
Two things. I think it has to show up in our storytelling, and it has to be encouraged by our families.
Yeah.
To me, right? And so covering the WNBA this past season, Caitlyn Clark's rookie year, for all of the conversation that surrounded her, some which was fair and some which wasn't, the one thing that I cannot deny is the amount of little girls that were showing up to follow her. Little girls with their parents and the fervor and the energy there.
Why her?
Same thing.
Why her?
Well, I was just about to say same thing for Angel Reese when I had a chance to cover their games. But I think Caitlyn represented, and again, some of this to me probably is not fair to her because it was not anything that she said or was truly based on her personality, but she was a white girl from the middle of America. And so she represented a whole lot to a lot of people, whether that is truly what she prescribed to or not. We can all say she is a dynamic basketball player and a force both on the court and the marketing sense. But I do think, same thing with folks that may have fallen in love with Angel Reese that she may or may not have agreed with everything they had to say either. We attach our fandom to these icons for all types of reasons.
Where are these Angel Reese fans? When I see Chicago Bravado games on TV, the only things I see are missed layups and empty seats.
If you're with her, drop Respect Caitlyn in the comments and hit subscribe for more straight talk that cuts through all the noise. Because no matter what they write, script, or spin, Caitlyn Clark's story is bigger than any network, and it's just getting started.